Senator Grassley, always great to talk to you, and thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, I'm glad to be with you.
You've gotten a response now from the administration, and they said no to interviewing former White House staffer Kevin O'Reilly. I've got to ask you, did you really think there was any chance you were going to get to interview him?
Stonewall after stonewall after stonewall, so it's no surprise.
Mm-hmm. Senator, the White House counsel in her letter to you said there's nothing relevant in those emails to Operation Fast and Furious or about the decision to allow guns to walk. So she said there's no reason for you to have to talk to O'Reilly. But if that's the case, why the heck wouldn't they let you talk to them? What do they have to hide?
They've got everything to hide because they know that we're after who gave approval for Fast and Furious, and we want that person fired. And they know that that would be a political embarrassment for the president up for re-election, and they're trying to do everything to protect the president. And then within the Justice Department, I think everybody there is doing everything they can to protect Holder.
Mm-hmm. But have you yourself, in those emails between O'Reilly and Bill Newell from the ATF, have you seen anything that indicates they were talking about Operation Fast and Furious?
Well, it's surely something that you can conclude from what Bill Newell has said, and you can know that it has something to do with the Fast and Furious, because he made statements like, you didn't get this from me, mm-hmm. Or another statement was, I don't want ATF headquarters to find out that I'm talking to somebody in the White House, friend or not friend. But it's a very suspicious thing of why somebody from Arizona with a lower level within the Justice Department would be talking to people in national security if there wasn't some reason for the White House to know what was going on. And that's very basic to what we're trying to find out. Who at the highest level of government maybe had something to do with the approval of Fast and Furious, because they ought to go, because this stupid program has not worked, and it ended up in the death of at least one and maybe two people who were federal agents being killed by these guns.
Mm-hmm. And when you look at the hearing, when Newell testified, he talked about how O'Reilly asked me for this information, and I provided to him. And then he says, probably that was an improper use of the phrase. As you said, that in itself sends all kinds of red flags, doesn't it?
Sure, and we heard Newell's side of the story. The reason we want to talk to O'Reilly is to get his side of the story. Mm-hmm. In other words, we know what one end of the conversation was from Newell. We want to hear what the other end of the conversation and how it evolved from O'Reilly.
Yep. And O'Reilly's attorney says he wants to talk to you. He can talk to you. Do you think there's any chance still that O'Reilly might go around the administration like we saw Ken Melson do? Have you talked to his attorney since you got this response from the administration?
I personally haven't talked to his attorney, and I can't answer for my staff right now, but I can tell you that I don't expect O'Reilly to talk, because he's in government, and, he's well aware of the fact that with this administration, that if you cross the line, you may lose your head.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other option you have that could force him to be able to testify?
The only thing I know is if we go to other documents and other leads that bring us back to another additional concrete involvement of O'Reilly in Fast and Furious, then at that point I think we might have another option. But we need to bring highlight to this issue, not just because we can't get the approval of the White House, but even more importantly, there's been subpoenas by ICE's committee of documents, and we've only got 6,000 or 7,000 pages of documents, and we know there's 80,000 pages out there. The next step, I don't know whether ICE wants to do this, but the next step would be for ICE to file contempt charges for violation of subpoena, contempt of the House of Representatives against Holder.
Mm-hmm. And I know when we've talked with Congressman Issa, he's proceeding with that. But, you listen to the administration and they claim, O'Reilly and Newell were just old friends catching up. But as you said, you read the emails, and does that sound to you like old friends catching up?
Listen, if it's just old friends catching up, you wouldn't have Newell say, you didn't get this from me, or just don't want ATF headquarters to find out about our conversations, or that basically that I'm giving you information about Fast and Furious.
You got this response. Where do you go now in proceeding and pursuing this investigation? I mean, you talk about stonewalling and the cover-up continuing. What do you do next?
Well, of course, don't forget, even though we're being stonewalled, we're getting information from different sources, and we intend to pursue those bits of information. And that's how we've gotten to where we are now, basically. It's been a little bit of help to get 6,000 pages, but it'd be a lot more help to get the other 74,000 pages of documents. But we still get leads. We still have people that talk to us, and we're going to pursue this to the end. And we also have the option of Congressman Issa having other hearings.
Mm-hmm. And I know you said you've been back home in Iowa, having town hall meetings. What do you hear from your constituents about this? Do they talk to you about what they see going on in D.C. with this investigation?
Yes. Every town meeting I've had, Fast and Furious has come up, mostly in this vein. Where are we on the investigation? They want me to give them an update, and I give them an update. And just as an example of how widely understood this is at the grassroots, I asked a meeting that I had yesterday when somebody asked about Fast and Furious. I said, hold your hands up if you don't know about Fast and Furious. And out of a group of about 50, there were only 5 hands that went up. So obviously in those environments, I don't have to go in depth about it. And you also understand that people understand what Fast and Furious is. And it's my hope that that makes a real difference in people's minds, the extent to which the president and his Justice Department is stonewalling us, that this becomes a very big issue in the presidential election.
Yeah, because you've got a president who talked about transparency and honesty, and we're seeing anything but that when it comes to this investigation. On
January the 20th, that was a few hours after he took the oath of office, he issued edicts to the bureaucracy and his appointees that he wanted to be the most transparent government or transparent administration in the history of the country. And it sounded good, and for a guy like me that wants to make oversight work and the checks and balances system of government work, I thought, ye gods, for the first time I'm going to have a president that will cooperate with my oversight work. When it ends up, he's probably been more of an impediment to my oversight work than a help. And he has not lived up to his own standard. And I know from the start you have always said this is about getting the truth for the American people, most of all for the family of Brian Terry. And when you have Brian Terry's family coming out and saying they're sickened to know that if there had been better communications from the ATF and the FBI, their son might still be alive today. Well, that's absolutely true. In fact, I wouldn't even be investigating this because you know what was happening for several months before whistleblowers came to me? It was that they were sending signals from Arizona to Main Justice in D.C. that this ain't going to work. This just isn't going to work. We've even had copies of emails that have gone from the licensed gun dealers to Main Justice saying that this isn't a very good idea, that they're being advised to sell guns illegally. So they heard it both from their own employees as well as from the private sector that this isn't going to work. And, you know, their prophecy came to fruition with the murder of Terry. And then that's how I got involved, because when they weren't getting any attention from the whistleblowing from the people in the Justice Department, they came to me. and I opened the investigation. And thank God that a couple months later, when I wasn't getting anywheres, I went to Congressman Isa and asked him if he could get involved, and he got involved, and through subpoena, we got the information that we have now. So the fact is that when they don't listen to their own people, as well as when they don't listen to me, it ends up the way I always advise any agency when they don't cooperate with whistleblowers, that the longer you stonewall, the more egg you're going to have on your face. And they've got a tremendous amount of egg on their face, as evidenced by the fact that they're trying to cover up that egg on their face by not giving us the documents that have been subpoenaed.
Yep,
74,000 pages more.
And the ability to talk to the people you need to talk to.
Particularly. And when they say we've got all the information, then why wouldn't they want O'Reilly to give us, let us talk to him and get the information from the horse's mouth?